Hi everyone, Bernard here. I hope you're all staying safe and well, and welcome to my film and TV channel. And we have a little interesting one today. Yeah, a fun one today. I think we can call this, after all the lockdowns, etc, etc. I think this film has picked about the right time to appear. You can watch it on the small screen, you can watch this on the big screen, but we'll talk about that in a moment. And we're going to have a look at a musical, yeah, a musical theatre production, but obviously it's on film. And we're going to talk about, no, not West Side Story, that'll be soon enough, but In the Heights we're going to have a look at today. So please, if you're new to the channel, push that subscribe button. And if you enjoy, I try and inform, give you reviews from other people, information on these things. Obviously, add my little 2p worth as well at the end of it. But yeah, if you like what you see, if you press that notification button, you'll get to know when these little reviews and information vlogs. I do stuff on what's coming out to buy and what's on at the cinema, etc, etc. So please push that notification button. And you'll also see stuff on my football team, Manchester City, if that's any interest. And on screen there'll be links to Facebook and Twitter, so if you follow a friend me on there, I do check and follow and friend everyone back. And I have a little website as well for old rare DVDs and movie posters, so that's moviegamenostalgia.com, so if that's of any interest to you. But today, yep, please let me know your comments. If you've watched this already, you may have done it. It's not actually out in the UK, but again, I'll mention that in a minute. But it's out in the US now, and it's on HBO as well. So if you have watched it, let me know what you thought. It's interesting with musicals, but we'll talk about that later on. And of course, if you haven't got time for a comment, just give us a thumbs up. Right, In the Heights, PG rating. Classed as 2 hours 23 minutes. There's about 15 minutes credits with a bit of music on as well, so I suppose it's all part and parcel of it. So, but well over 2 hours for this one. And it's based on the stage musical, of course. I've not seen the stage musical of the same name by Chiara Algra Hudas and Lin-Manuel Miranda. Yeah, that's from the old what's that other Hamilton, isn't it? Hamilton musical. I quite like that. But again, that'll rear its head in a moment. Directed by John M. Chu from a screenplay by Hudas, and film stars Anthony Ramos, Corey Hawkins, Leslie Grace, Melissa Barrera, Olga Mediz, Daphne Rubin Vega, Gregory Diaz IV, and Jimmy Smits. Yeah, nice to see Jimmy Smits in it. And the film apparently follows a similar plot to the musical. As I said, I've not watched the musical, telling the story of a corner in Washington Heights. If you know anything about Washington Heights. No, I've never been to Washington, so I have no idea. Well, no, it's not in Washington, is it? It's New York City, so there you go. I've flown through New York City, but I've not stayed in New York City. I've gone through Newark, but that's about the closest I've got. So Washington Heights in New York City. My apologies there. Shows how much I know about Washington and New York, doesn't it, really? Where I'd love to, well, I will go at one stage. I would love to go, of course. Where each member of the community pursues their dreams of a better life. I think we all do. In the Heights was originally set to be put out by Universal Pictures in 2008, so it's been a long time. But Kenny Ortega was hired to direct that one, but after that version fell through, the project was eventually started up back in 2016 with Chu set to direct this one. It was released, as I said, in the United States on the 10th of June. Simultaneously streaming for a month, I think, on HBO as well, so if you've got a subscription to HBO. Here in the UK, it's out at the cinema on the 18th of June, so 3 or 4 days away as I'm recording this. And of course, check your territory if you're outside of the UK or the US. Is it any good? Well, it's getting some good reviews, this one. Rotten Tomatoes approval rating, so that's a positivity rating, saying, oh yeah, I like that. That's 97%, and that's based on 208 critics' reviews, all the top critics, all the bottom critics, every critic. And it averages 8.5 out of 10, so that's pretty healthy. And it's got 202 fresh reviews and just 6 rotten, so yeah, at least 6 people didn't like it. I'll read one of those in a moment. The website's consensus reads, lights up for In the Heights, a joyous celebration of heritage and community fueled by dazzling direction and sing-along songs. Joe Morgenstern of the Wall Street Journal, he might live close by. Probably doubt it. How much pleasure can you take? He says, how much joy can you stand without flinching? One way to find out is by watching In the Heights. And Hornaday of the Washington Post, there you go. All these people are in and around where it was set, aren't they? To quote In the Heights itself, the streets are made of music in the first genuinely cheerful, splashy, exuberantly life-affirming movie of the summer. Yep, and we didn't get many of that last summer, did we? Kevin Maher, though, of the Times in the UK, it's a bit more miserable over here, isn't it? He was one of the Rottens, yeah, he was one of the Rottens. So I thought I'd just dig up to find one of the Rottens just to see what they said. And he actually said, a musical that is at best a homage to other better musicals. Interesting. I can see the point he's making. I don't totally agree. And the Rotten Tomatoes audience don't agree either. 4.5 out of 5 they're giving it, so equivalent to 9 out of 10, of course. So the audience like it, which is all that matters. Metacritic, the other little critic site we look at, a weighted average of 85 out of 100. So just, again, based on 49 critics, so quite similar to the Rotten Tomatoes. And it scores anywhere between 60 out of 100 and 95 out of 100. And we'll have a look at, back to the UK, The Guardian's Peter Bradshaw, he gave it 60 out of 100, so he wasn't totally enamoured, but he was the lowest mark. It's impossible to object to In the Heights with its almost childlike innocence. Ramos is very good, and it's great to see Stephanie Beatrice from TV's Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Dasha Polanco from Orange is the New Black, it was nice to see her, round out the supporting cast. But this is a pretty quaint image of street life whose unrealities probably work better on stage. Yeah, well, it's fantasy, it's not real, is it? I mean, let's be honest about it. Yeah, so yeah, okay, I agree with a bit of what Peter's saying there, but not totally. And the guy who liked it the most was David Elric from the IndieWire. 91 out of 100, that's not a bad score. So exuberant and full of life, it would probably convince you the movies were back, even if they hadn't gone anywhere. In the Heights is a kind of electrifying theatrical experience that people have been waxing nostalgic about ever since the pandemic began. The kind that is almost seem like we might never get to enjoy it again. Internet Movie Database, yeah, Joe Public, you, me, 7.9 out of 10. So again, not quite as high as the critics, but that's not a bad little score, is it? That's based on 4,385 as I'm recording this. There'll be some details later. I'm recording this at the 12th of June, so that's based on 12th of June 2021 at 1 p.m. UK time. So 7.9 out of 10, that's not too bad at all. And of that 4,385, 3,963 of them give it 6 or more out of 10. So there you go, a 90% positivity. So not quite as high as the Rotten Tomatoes, but again, very, very positive. Right, me, yeah, it's very difficult, isn't it? I mean, I don't think you should really review properly a musical until you've watched it 3, 4, 5, 6, a few times. I mean, if you'd asked me what I thought of Les Miserables many moons ago when I first watched that on a first showing, I wouldn't have been overly impressed, but probably about the 4th or 5th showing, it became my favourite musical of all time. Isn't now, but at the time, it did become my favourite musical of all time. It's still up there, don't get me wrong, I'll tell you my top 3, because I'm a big musical theatre fan. I love musicals. I love musicals where they sing all the way through. I love musicals where they have a chat halfway, a bit of it, and then they get a song, then a chat, and then a song. So I'm really into musical theatre. I will say my current top 3, to show you where I'm coming from, in order, would possibly be my number 1 at the moment. If someone said to me you can just watch one musical, would be Wicked. That is my current favourite. Followed by Les Mis is still my number 2. And probably something like Rocky Horror would probably be my number 3 going back in time. But I like things like Chicago and Moulin Rouge, all that sort of thing. So a mishmash of musicals. I was very eclectic, if you like. And I did actually watch Hamilton. That's the last musical I think I watched. Maybe a Disney one or two after since then, or an animated musical. I'm not too sure. But Hamilton was one of those that I did like. As I say, I did like certain elements immediately. And then obviously as I listened 2, 3, 4 times, other elements grew on me as well. So even though it's not up in my top 4 or 5 perhaps, it is something I liked. Obviously there's connection with the writer of that, and the connection with this, isn't there? And on the first watch this, yeah, I mean, it's vibrant, it's easy on the eye, of course it is. It's easily, but there's a lot of foot tapping, a lot of sort of nodding my head and going with the actual tunes. But yeah, there wasn't any real standouts for me. I mean, even in Hamilton, the first time I watched it, there was 2 songs that appealed to me that I thought, I'll listen to them again. I was struggling a little bit with this one. as I say, very foot tapping, but there's nothing that sort of stood out to me as something that I would go back and really want to listen to. So it's one of those things where, yes, I've actually started to listen back to it while I'm doing some other things. So I've got it on in the background, the soundtrack. So I'm actually giving that a second try, and hopefully things might grow on me. But again, even second time around, there's one or two things that get me feet tapping, but I don't think there's anything outstanding where there's going to be a longevity as far as quality of songs concerned. And that's the thing with this. As I said, at least with Hamilton, there's probably, by the last time I listened to that, was probably 3 or 4 songs that I quite liked in it, or tunes I liked in it. One of the big problems, I think, are the characters. It does throw quite a few characters out at you, but I didn't really. They didn't really impress me. I didn't really get to know too much about them. There's no real backstory to the guys, and there's only sort of a couple that I really like watching, and all the others sort of just was sort of filler for me. Which obviously with a 2-hour, 20-minute musical, you didn't really need that. You perhaps could have knocked a few of them out and had a better little program. And so that's a little bit of a negative. I mean, dare I say, some of the songs are very Disney. A horrible thing to say, isn't it? Very, the tunes of it. It's hard to write musicals that come with new stuff, isn't it? Of course it is, but it did have that sort of Disney sort of movie musical feel to it, some of it, and as I said, I don't think it's not a thing. As I said, I'm listening to it again now, but I am struggling to sort of get things I really want to invest in long term. Songs that I might want to listen to them 4 or 5 years down the line, or 20, 30, 40 years down the line, as is the case with some of my favourite musicals, obviously. But yes, but for the here and now, as I said, I've watched it once, and it's never fair to reflect on something after one watch. Certainly a musical. I think films, you can gain more from watching a film again and again. But obviously with musical theatre, if you like it, some things do grow on you, like I said with Les Miserables. So I will give this another 2 or 3 chances, but I'm not banging at the door and spending time, saving time to actually watch it. If I get around to listening to it again, I will. But that's about it. So if you think about it, it came out at the right time. I mean, now after these COVID lockdowns, it's the sort of film we needed, perhaps to lighten the mood, to cheer us up, and it should be watched possibly better on a big screen as well, because of the choreography and the sets, etc., etc. So it is a good film, but it's not a great film. I don't think it's worth the 8s and 9s it's getting from the public and the critics. So there you go. I mean, obviously, as I say, I am probably in a slight minority here, but obviously as a big musical theatre fan myself, obviously it is something I normally like, and I'm struggling a little bit to find that much in it that really hit home and makes me want, I'll listen to that again. I am struggling. As I said, it may grow a little bit better with time, but as I say, it's always a little bit unfair with these sort of things. But there you go. It's good, but not great in my opinion. I don't think it's worth the 8s and 9s scores. I'm going to give it my rating. Where I'm going to give it better than a watchable rate. I'll give it a very watchable rate. I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10, which, if you know me, that's not bad anyway. I mean, as I say, I'm not overly generous with scores anyway, so it's a bit way down on everybody else's rating, but yeah, I think that's a fair reflection at the moment, and that might increase. It certainly won't decrease, so that's the positive. It won't get any less, so over time, but that might increase slightly with more listens and more watches of the film, perhaps in time over years. But as far as now is concerned, I'll give it a nice, healthy, very watchable 6.5 out of 10. As I said, this film's now been released in the US. It's on HBO for a month till early July, I think. And it will be released in the UK on the 18th of June. So check your picture house to see when and where it's available. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think if you've had a chance to watch this. Anyway, thanks for watching. What we're going to do the rest of the day, have a great one. Look after yourselves, look after your friends, look after your families. More importantly, let's all look after each other. Till we meet here again on the Film and TV channel, or perhaps you flit across and look at my Citizen channel, my football channel. I only ask one thing of you. Stay safe, everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.